This is that week of the beautiful honey moon. That's going to be the full moon in Capricorn this Wednesday, June 27th. However, it's going to be more like a very secure in their love couple gets married, goes on their honeymoon, and finds out that her father has tagged along. So the full moon will have a bit of Sirius Saturn with it. Hi, I'm Judith Royal, archetypal astrologer, and this is your weather forecast, your star weather forecast for June 25th through July 1st, 2018. And in addition to the honeymoon, I think with 5 retrograde planets, that is, planets in their outer ellipsis who appear just from our perspective to be going in reverse. Of course, they aren't really, but the energy is. And so I thought this is going to be the month. Actually, I'm going to say all the way through July, the end of July, for time travel. And you don't even need a rocket ship because retrograde planets call for us to rethink, to review, and that thing I think is so magical is to get to have a do-over. So I was thinking, since it's retrograde, we might look at the past, absolutely, right? And so I thought of the intensity of everything that we are experiencing right now on the planet as the energy accelerates, building, I believe, towards that July 27th very powerful eclipse. And on the way there, I've talked to many people who are saying various versions of, oh, could we just stop the world? I want to get off. And that, of course, was a wonderful 1960s musical. And the 60s, remember, was the time that Uranus and Pluto were just having a great time shaking up the mores and shaking up traditions and giving us a real punch for equal rights. And of course, that's come around again now in a very different form that I'll talk about later. Also, I thought about having worked for many years in the field of addictions. We used to talk about this phenomenon called the merry-go-round of denial. And what we meant by that, or at least what I tried to teach to addicts and their families, is that denial itself, that is living in a delusion, is maintained by going round and round and round the same old thing all the time. So, we'll take that thought with us as I encourage you to time travel. And for 2018 in general, it's not only the year of the yin feminine coming into her power, but we are also, each of us, asking, what is my purpose? We're asking what Alfie did in that even older movie, I think, which was What's It All About, Alfie? And that was very, very popular because that is the question that has burned in our brains, in our minds, for recorded history. We want to know why are we here and what are we to do? So remember, on the trigger level, so the smaller level, the sun is the yang energy for your purpose. Now, that's true from your own birth chart, but just for all of us now, as we think about the Cancer sun that we've had since last week's solstice, then we know that it is a particular time of really gathering round with our family, with our tribe. But most importantly, Cancer sits in the zodiac chart at the place at the very bottom of the chart where the ancestral roots are. So we are also looking at that part of ourselves. And really, I encourage you on the physical level to look up your ancestry and really embrace it. Because when I was thinking about what I wanted to tell you this week, I too was looking at and thinking about my ancestry. And the incredible inheritance we have in literature and poets of, well, eons, rich with mythology, etc. And now a lot of us are aware of the lifting of the veil, at least the thinning of the veil of illusion that we have been unaware of in previous generations. But right now, I think that's part of not only the angst and the depression that some people might be feeling, but it is also an intensity about, I really want to know. So in terms of time travel, we only have to go back to what Plato, right? And his allegory of the cave. He told us everything we need to know spiritually, then and now. Because his picture was that all of us living in a dark cave are chained to the wall, to the back wall of the cave. And the only thing that we ever see are shadows reflected on that wall from the people in the town behind us walking back and forth. But we don't know they're shadows. We think that it's real, and we make up stories about it, and we attribute all kinds of characteristics to shadows that are just tramping up across the cave wall. Of course, the end of that whole story is one of us gets the courage to go out. But that's a story also for another time. But now people are saying, Judith, what is going on? Et cetera, et cetera. And Alfie said it in one of the lines. It was a story of a man who just kept asking the same question of what does it mean? What is it all about? And at the end of the movie, he's had all kinds of success. He's got all of the ego trinkets, money in the bank, fancy cars, etc., etc. And that is the most poignant moment in which he questions the purpose of his life. And he says, but I don't have peace of mind. And if you don't have that, you've got nothing. So we are rich with time travel wisdom. So I encourage you to really let yourself sink into some of that in the next 6 weeks ahead of us in particular. So the key events this week, of course, the honeymoon, and I'll tell you a little bit more about that. And secondly, Mars in Aquarius is officially retrograde this very week, which means he's really been sort of, from our perspective, sitting still at this one point in Aquarius. And the intensity of that, as I think I mentioned last time, it is like focusing the sun's rays through the magnifying glass on a piece of dried up old paper, right? So we're having things ignite, are we not? And Mars in Aquarius is that energy of teamwork for solutions, and this is out of the box solutions for social equality problems. So we're seeing archetypally on the world stage in America the border debates and so forth, and the children separated from family. And this is heating up and showing us, maybe very uncomfortably, but showing us that the patriarchal, hierarchical, authoritarian model that we have had since recorded, well, just a very, very long time, is crumbling. We're actually witnessing it not working, right? Because it is an old way of life that is going down. Mars is still, by the way, the brightest star in the night sky. Of course, it's not really a star, but it is a planet reflecting the sun's lights, and we just call it a star. So the third thing I want you to know about this week is Mercury. Communications are really going to start heating up. And I know you're probably thinking, wait, they're already hot. Well, they are. But this is going to be very fiery because Thursday, June 28th, Messenger Mercury is going to go into Leo. And that's going to be significant for the, well, I guess we could say the drama that will bring, but it will be a warm, the fire of Leo is the campfire, right? So it'll be a warm fire we can all gather around. But Mercury is also going to go retrograde in Leo. Remember, this is going to be a theme. So he's going to stay in Leo from this Thursday until September the 5th. He'll go retrograde in Leo on July 15th. So that's where he will be when we're in the middle of that big eclipse on July 27th. Did I say he goes retrograde July 15th, not June 15th? And then he'll be in Leo a very, very long time. So Leo is messages about what are you devoted to in your family, for example. Are you devoted in the sense of it's truly from your heart and authentically you? Or are you devoting yourself to someone in the family because you think it's your duty to do that? So once again, we're going to have brought before us that choice of being our authentic and beautiful, magnificent true self, or are we going to let ourselves be run by ego and just keep going merry-go-round, around and round and round, the old rules and the unexamined rules that are hiding under the guise of tradition or the guilt of your duty? So we're going to get a prolonged period here all the way through September to really be thinking about that. So this week we have in the lineup, we start with Sagittarius fire, and then we move into Capricorn earth for that full moon, and the week will end with Aquarius air. As we think about your compatibility, those of you who have your moon in the sign of Sagittarius, Capricorn, or Aquarius, you're going to have your lunar birthday this week. We all get that once a month, but it is the 2 to 2.5 days when the transiting moon is in the sign of your birth moon. and those are your to be. So if you really want to role play that what's it all about Alfie role, that would be a great time, because that would be a great time to try out your what's it all about Alfie drama, asking yourself that, because your intuition will be so right on. Of course, it is a great time for sort of spiritual practices, especially meditation, because you are so in tune with yourself. Now, if you have your sun sign in Sagittarius, Capricorn, or Aquarius, you will have sort of a solar birthday this week. And that is the yang energy that we have from the sun. So those are your action to-do days, right? Fabulous for getting stuff done, and you could plan on that. Now, even if you're not Sagittarius fire, maybe your Leo or your Aries fire, it will still be an easy and very creative time for you while the moon is in Sagittarius. Likewise, if you're an earth sign in your moon, even though the moon is in Capricorn, it is very harmonious with both Virgo and Taurus. And likewise for Aquarius air, your intellect is really stimulated by Aquarius air, but it will also really spark some ingenious ideas for Libra and for Gemini. I think everybody gets to win, right? That's how it really should be. So, going through the week, we start the week Monday in the Sagittarius moon, and it will be there until Wednesday in Capricorn. So Monday and Tuesday, you Sagittarius or fire signs out there, you're going to have a really fabulously both creative but wonderful for your relationships, for your artistic inclinations, your creativity, because the Sagittarius moon is going to make this beautiful trine with Venus, the goddess of love. How sweet is that? So even though there's a little fog that's going to roll in over it on Tuesday, don't worry about that, because remember, even though you can't see miles down the road, you don't really need that. You really want to see just the next step in front of you, because our goal, of course, is to live here and now, to be here now, and to, as much as we can, be present just in this one moment. By the way, that's the moment for launching time travel, right? So, Wednesday, we have the moon in Capricorn. It's the full moon. And remember, I've already mentioned the moon is going to have a companion side by side with Saturn. So there is going to be a feeling of seriousness about this full moon, even though it's a honeymoon, because Saturn on the moon helps you organize, really understand your feelings. Usually feelings are kind of mushy and watery and spreading all around, but Saturn can help you organize your intuition, the sonar responses that you're getting, and so that you can make practical use of it. That's really what Saturn wants to do with the moon. She's so intuitive and yin, very receptive, of course, energy. But with Saturn there, we want her to do something practical with that Capricorn moon. And I think that's going to involve coming down off the mountain into the sort of teeming millions in the square, the marketplace, and holding your peace of mind in the midst of turmoil. I can sometimes do that for a little while, but I think that really counts for something, so I'm happy with it, right? Nobody's going to do that all the time. Anyway, Thursday, which is always ruled by Jupiter, so Thursday is such a day for generosity and gratitude. And this Thursday, we'll still have the moon in Capricorn, so it will be, again, practical. So there will be donations or giving of your time and your talents, but in order to accomplish something that is down to earth and practical and works in the marketplace. And that's the same day, that Thursday, that Mercury enters Leo. So I think we're going to see some fiery headlines, but on a personal level, I think we're just going to have a lot more clarity. You know that question sometimes people ask you, hey, how are you? What are you feeling? And we do that knee jerk of, oh, I'm fine. But we don't want to keep doing it that way. That's the merry-go-round also. So Venus Day is Friday. Venus always rules Friday. That's kind of why it's such a sweet and happy day. And the moon will still be in Capricorn, and on that day, she will pair up with the Lord of the Underworld. So those are going to be very intense feelings that day. Then Saturday, we have Aquarius for the moon, and she is going to then be sort of a 180 opposition with Mercury, who's just barely gotten into Leo. So there are going to be some surprises that day. There's going to be a lot of activity on Saturday, and messages that are sort of out of the blue, unexpected, and are going to take us, going to require us to really stop and feel and listen to ourselves. Then Sunday is July 1st. We're moving into July with the wind in our sails from an Aquarius moon. It's not going to be a good day to go shopping because you're going to likely overdo it because there's a square to Jupiter and an opposition to Venus, and that means you're going to maybe want something luxurious and 5 stars, but you'll overdo it. So keep your feet on the ground for Sunday. And next week, we're going to have the third quarter moon in Aries on July 6th. So we're going to get that turning point, that crisis point. But the main thing I want you to keep as your overarching weather, the umbrella, the big sky, is that we're on our way 2 by 2 to the eclipses in July. Remember, eclipses travel 2 by 2. So July 12th and July 27th. July 12th will be the new moon eclipse, and July 27th will be the full moon, powerful eclipse in the lineup with Warrior Mars. So things are definitely going to happen, and nothing will be staying the same. Let's stay light on our feet, and let's stay connected to one another, and never isolated. Right? Because we can go back in time and pick up the pieces that we missed or that we broke by accident. This is a wonderful time for that. It's sort of that dream of being able to redo the past. You can't really, but you can definitely redo the thoughts that you created about what happened in the past, because the past, I mean, all the meaning it has is the meaning that you gave it. So you can definitely change that. Thanks for listening. I love you. Pray for peace, and I'll see you next week. Thanks for listening.